Continuing on in Acts 23:24 is where we left off on the last video, to kind of break these up in easier groups for people to watch them 30 minutes at a time rather than a full hour. But we meet for a full hour here. So we're continuing on, and we just came through the chief captain being told a secret that there were over 40 Jews that wanted to kill Paul. And so the chief captain said, hey, look, we're going to load up a bunch of horses. We're going to take 200 men, and we're going to take Paul to Caesarea. We watched the last video, understand how important Caesarea was. But we're in Acts 23:24, and where the chief captain is just giving his final instructions. We'll do a little bit of review, and he says, and provide them beasts that they may set Paul on and bring him safe unto Felix the governor. Okay, so these are instructions that he gave the two centurions who were each in charge of 100 men, and therefore we have 200 men going to Caesarea. Verse 25, we got the men organized, we've got the beasts organized, and now how does the chief captain communicate the information of what's going on in Bethlehem to Felix the governor? He writes him a letter. So in verse 23:25, and he wrote a letter after this manner, the chief captain wrote. Okay. Claudius Lysias unto the most excellent governor Felix sendeth greeting. So now we know it really is Lysias, right? The chief captain. This man was taken of the Jews and should have been killed of them. Then came I with an army and rescued him, dragged him back into the castle, having understood that he was a Roman. He had rights. Okay? Verse 28. And when I would have known the cause wherefore they accused him, I brought him forth into their council. Once I heard what the issue was, I took him to their council, because that's really where the problem is. He didn't break a Roman law. He was breaking their laws. Whom I perceived to be accused of questions of their law, but to have nothing laid to his charge worthy of death or of bonds. In other words, of the Roman offenses. He was just an offense to them. Verse 30. And when it was told me how that the Jews laid wait for the man, I sent straightway to thee, and gave commandment to his accusers also to say before thee what they had against him. Farewell. So Lysias told the 40 who were against him, who were going to kill him, told the chief priest, told whoever he had to tell, you have a problem with this guy? I'm sending him to where the capital is, to where the governor is, to where the head of all the discussion, Caesarea. And if you have a problem with him, you go to Caesarea and you explain it. And you give the charges there. Okay? Verse 31. Then the soldiers, as was commanded them, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipatris. Antipatris is kind of a halfway point. This is a stopping point, 25 miles from Caesarea. Now Herod the Great also built this city, and he built it in honor of his father, I might say this right, Antipater, I think. But that was a city that Herod the Great also built. But now we're about 25 miles from Caesarea. Okay? Verse 31. Let's see. Verse 32. On the morrow they left the horsemen to go with him and returned to the castle. Okay? So the soldiers got as far as Antipatris with the horses, and then they all turned around. And they're like, okay, this isn't the hard part. This is the easy part of now marching. They should be able to get to Caesarea without me. Verse 33. Who, when they came to Caesarea and delivered the epistle to the governor, presented Paul also before him. Now, it's interesting, the word epistle is used here. Epistle is just a letter. Epistle isn't some holy epistle. An epistle is a letter. the letters that Paul wrote as the epistles are something that were breathed of God. This was not breathed of God, but it's still called an epistle. So the word epistle is not some holy writing. So when you hear of other epistles, well, sure, there were other epistles. Doesn't mean that they were God's writing. It just means that some man was delivering that information. In the case of the epistles that Paul wrote, it was God breathed. Just a different definition of the same thing. Verse 34. And when the governor had read the letter, he asked of what province he was. And when he understood that he was of Cilicia, he said, now of Cilicia, so the Felix understands. Oh, you're of Cilicia. Remember, Cilicia is right up here. We're talking down here. We got Caesarea down here at the bottom. Oh boy. I'm not sure how that happened. Anyway. Again, sorry about that. We have a new... yeah, I agree. It's on the remote for the TV. You just have to clear the remote for the TV and press the enter or the return or the back. I'm not sure how that happened, but again, sorry for... There we go. Thank you so much. All right, so we're up here in Cilicia, where Paul was from Tarsus, right? So when he heard that he was from Cilicia, Felix said, I will hear thee, said he, when thine accusers are also come. And he commanded him to be kept in Herod's judgment hall. Okay? So, when your accusers come. When is all this happening in the history of time? We're going to go to our timeline here for a little bit, and we're probably going to end with this. But we get Paul, and you maybe can't read this on the video. We'll put the handout. We'll put this as a tag so you can have this. This is something created by us, so you're welcome to share it. You just can't make money off of it. But we're at this time frame here. Now, we're right about the year 59, okay? Right in here. So when you download this off the internet, we're right here. So we're at the end of the gospel of Christ, and right before Paul ever starts preaching the gospel of God. We know that the books that are associated with it up here are like Philippians, okay? 1 Timothy, 1 Corinthians, Philippians. That's where we are in this history of time, where Paul has written these things. We're not quite to Romans, we're not quite to Titus, we're not quite to those others that start to talk about the gospel of God. Okay, we're right at the end of Acts. And so to understand that, we understand that there's still mixed messages out there. Peter's still speaking one thing, Paul's still speaking another thing. And so a very confusing time for not only the Christians, but also for the chief priests. So they're going to take a little bit of time and they're going to hire their own prosecutor. We're going to see that in the next few verses, and we won't get to those today. But it's interesting where we are in time, and so we understand on our timeline what Paul is dealing with. And there are many things and many books that Paul has yet to write. Okay, we are at the end of the gospel of Christ, that Jew first, then Gentile. But he's going to get into, while bound, write many books. And he's going to be stuck here for a couple of years, by the way. Paul's going to write many books. Ephesians, Colossians, those haven't been written yet. The gospel of God. Okay, so this Caesarea, we might watch a video here also as a group. I'll maybe share links to the videos just to show you what Caesarea looked like, and what it looks like today, and what they think the palace looked like, and where Paul is actually going to be heard here in a little bit by Felix, by King Felix, or Governor Felix, by Governor Felix. But Governor Felix, it's also interesting, this Marcus Antonius, I had to write it down, Felix, I didn't remember that. He was the Roman procurator, okay? That means a governor. So Felix, the one who he is going to be tried to, the one that the chief captain sent Paul to, he was the governor of Judea. A previous governor of Judea was a guy named Pontius Pilate. Okay, so the same power and the same judgment hall that Paul is going to right now, not the same judgment hall as far as location, but the same authority that was in charge of the judgment hall in his primary location, Caesarea, and then where Pontius Pilate came down and heard they accused Jesus, was in a judgment hall down there. But same authority as what this Felix has. So this Felix guy, he has all authority over Judea, and that happened since 6 AD when this became a province of Rome. So before that, the power center was in Judea. That's why they're like, we're going back and forth between the two right now. Okay? We'll recall also that Paul was from Tarsus, or from Cilicia. I don't think I can back up here. But we'll recall that Paul was a Roman citizen in Acts 21:39, also in Acts 22:25, I think. Talks about being a Roman citizen. So we know he's in the right place, being tried by the right person. To wrap up the last two videos, 40 plus Jews trying to kill him. Roman soldiers take Paul to Caesarea to be tried before Marcus Antonius Felix, the Roman governor of Judea. And Paul is held now, we're going to leave off with being held in Herod's judgment hall until the Sanhedrin come and make their accusation against Paul. Okay? So, covered a few verses, 24 verses there. Kind of felt like we were going a little bit quick, but all to say, now Paul is going to answer to kings, to one of the third group. Now, he still has to go to Rome, keep in mind, but this kings was responsible for just the local government there of the Roman. And then, of course, he's going to have to go to where the head of the Roman government is in Rome. So we're not going to witness before or bear Christ's name before a king. That'd be Felix. He needs to do it before kings. And that takes us back to that Acts 9:15, and where Christ says, yeah, you have to go to three groups. So, okay. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you.